Welcome back to ESBR Boxing's YouTube channel. Delighted to be joined by Thomas. This is a reaction video to the news that Canelo Alvarez will face Jermell Charlo on September the 30th, 2023, defending his undisputed super middleweight championship. Thomas, thanks for joining me. Good to speak to you as always. Your reaction to this fight, a bit unexpected by some. A lot of people thought it was kind of the wrong brother had maybe been announced. But yeah, give me your immediate reaction to this fight being made official.
Well, yes, like many, I was quite surprised. I thought, if anything, you'd be fighting, or Canelo would be fighting Jermall Charlo, since Jermall's at middleweight, closer to super middleweight where Canelo's at. But apparently, according to, I just read a story in Yahoo. Uh, Stephen Espinosa, head of Showtime Sports, he said that apparently Jamal's going through some personal issues or whatever. So I don't think he would be ready for a fight of this magnitude in September. So I think that's why they opted to go with Jermell. And it's still a big fight. Jermell's undisputed at 154. And, he's definitely has the length advantage. So I think he will fill out, at 168 pretty well. I'm pretty sure that he cuts a lot of weight to get to 154. But yeah, it definitely surprising news.
Yeah, definitely. Jermell Charlo, as you mentioned, undisputed super welterweight champion, undisputed super welterweight, has only lost that one fight against Tony Harrison, which he won via stoppage in the rematch. Also got a draw against Brian Castano and obviously won that rematch. So he's kind of everyone on his resume he's beaten. Record of 35 and 1-1 draw. So he's been around a while. Started his career at welterweight and obviously has now been at superweight for a long time. Hasn't been in the ring for over a year now. So I think possibly his days at super welterweight were done anyway, and he'd be moving up possibly to middleweight. But as you mentioned, yeah, just going to be interesting to see what he looks like at 168. And I think that worth remembering that Canelo is not a big super middleweight. Canelo, I think he's 5'8", could possibly still make middleweight himself. So you've possibly got two guys here at super middleweight who could still fight, who could fight at middleweight. So it's a bit of a strange dynamic. Thomas, if I said to you that I was kind of a bit not frustrated, maybe a bit disappointed with this opponent. Obviously, Canelo was rumored to fight Dimitri Bivol in a rematch next. That fight, we don't know if that rematch is ever going to happen. But I could say, look, there are some big fights for him at 168 against people who have been at super middleweight for a while. David Benavidez being the prime suspect, Demetrius Andrade, who feels like he's been inactive for a while, Jaime Munguia as well. Why not? Why do you think Canelo's not fought one of the top super middleweights?
Well, I think, well, he definitely has fought, and maybe not recently,
Mm,
but he's fought some top super middleweights. He what was his last fight at 168? Golovkin. He's still a middleweight, really. He was moving up. Before that, that was before that it was Caleb Plant, and then before that it was Billy Joe Saunders. He took the belts off both of those guys. Calvin Smith before that
mm.
took the belts off him. But definitely he still has to fight Benavidez and Jermall. Well, we were kind of expecting Jermall Charlo to be one of those three fights in the three-fight deal that signed with PBC. So I think if we haven't seen those big fights that we're looking for with Canelo, we're going to now
Mm.
with this PBC signing. It's kind of completing the last piece of the puzzle, you know. Well, although he still hasn't fought with ESPN, but he's fought with all the other big networks.
Mm.
So yeah, definitely. We'll definitely see him uh, fight you know, the best remaining fighters at super middleweight. I think.
Yeah, and look, Canelo in recent years has been on a fantastic roll. You named all the fighters there. Obviously, Caleb Plant, Billy Joe Saunders, and Cam Smith. They were all undefeated until they came up against Canelo as well, and he won all three of those fights convincingly. Two of them by stoppage. Obviously, lost the fight, but still fought Dmitry Bivol at light heavyweight, which is crazy when you think Canelo's gone up in weight that much. So I think some people have got an issue with this fight happening, considering he's fighting someone who has been competing at two weights below himself. But some people, not so much of a problem. And yeah, we'll kind of see what happens. Where two questions left for me, Thomas. Canelo, 32 years old now, had over 60 fights. Where do you think he's at in his career now? He's just signed a 3-fight deal with PBC. Do you think he's kind of he'll have those 3 fights and that could be it, or maybe those 3 fights and maybe one more? Do you think Canelo's going to be in the game for another 5-6 years? Where do you think we're at in his career?
I think we're definitely towards the end. I think this fight with we'll do this fight with Charlo, and then at some point, the last remaining 2 fights, he'll do he'll fight Benavidez, and other than that, I think the other fight that the fans would want to see is probably the Bivol rematch, and then maybe he can go back to Matchroom in the zone and get that fight done. So that's really only a few more fights
Mm.
that you know that people really want to see Canelo in, and then after that, I think that would be the right time for him to hang him up.
Yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of people would agree with you. I think you don't want to see kind of an all-time great go on for too long. So we'll see what happens on September 30th, and then we'll move forward from there. Thomas, final question from me: what way are you leaning in this fight? Canelo, I imagine, will be a very strong favourite. There might be some people who are saying Canelo's past his best, and Jermell Charlo has a chance here. What do you see happening on September 30th?
I think this fight could be perhaps more competitive than people might think. I know, like you mentioned, many people aren't really happy with this fight happening, but the the height and I I don't really know what the reach exactly is, but I would imagine that overall Jermell has the length advantage, so he will be able to use his height and reach pretty well, which he already does in his previous fights. Um, so that could be a problem for Canelo for sure. But the power, um, Canelo punching power is something else. And even though he's not the biggest super middleweight, he's hurt, people. I
Mm,
mean, he's knocked out light heavyweights before. He knocked
mm.
out Sergey Kovalev, so it could be a serious problem for Charlo. So I'll definitely have to lean towards Canelo. Definitely has um, the the more notable advantages in my opinion, but it I wouldn't be surprised if we get a close fight.
Yeah. We shall see. We shall see. No, looking forward to it. 3 months away, so plenty of time to talk about it, to break it down, and yeah, we'll see how we all feel close to the time. Thomas, been good to speak to you about this one. Canelo Alvarez versus Jermell Charlo, September 30th, undisputed super middleweight championship of the world. Thomas, thank you very much for your time. I'll speak to you again soon.
Thank you.